how do you become more emotionally available? What is emotionally available? In a nutshell, it's that you are able to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions as well as the emotions of others. And oftentimes people think that it's just the avoidant that's emotionally unavailable. Oh, they just don't want to deal with it and they shut down, which is accurate. Somebody that might be emotionally unavailable who is avoidant would be somebody that doesn't want to talk about commitment, wants to stray away. It's overwhelming to them because they are so disconnected from their own wants, needs, and desires, and from the pain and the trauma and everything that's going on with them, their own emotional needs. They're so disconnected from that, they don't have the space or the bandwidth for somebody else's, which is why they shut down consistently. But an anxious attacher is also emotionally unavailable, because an anxious attacher is also avoiding doing the work and looking at, what am I so scared of? Where are these fears coming from? What's coming up for me? What's happening in my body? They are so scared, and mostly just the insecure attachment styles are so scared of the feeling that they'll do anything to avoid feeling that pain, except the one thing that they need to do, which is face it, sit with it, understand it, learn it, and befriend it. Because once you're emotionally available, once you have sat with your pains, you understand your triggers, you know where these things come from, you know the thought processes, you know the patterns. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're going to be okay and everything's going to be daisies and roses, but you're able to effectively communicate that. You're able to hold space for other people. You're able to articulate and have the bandwidth to be in a secure and healthy relationship. So the first thing we have to do is recognize your patterns, start to understand, wait a minute, what's coming up for me? Self-awareness is the first step. But then the second thing is practicing vulnerability, just sharing little things so that you can start to be comfortable with saying, I feel this, I feel that, expanding on your emotional intelligence, understanding what are feelings, where are they in my body, how do they manifest in my body, when have I felt this before, starting to challenge your narrative. What's the narrative that starts to come up for me? Interesting, this is a trigger that I have, this is a thought process I have, where did I learn this behavior? Then you can start to set boundaries and understand what works for you. What is something that you need to show up consistently, and what are things that you're no longer willing to accept from people? And the last thing is being able to communicate that with people. This is how you start to work on the emotional availability. So if somebody comes to you and asks you a question that makes you uncomfortable, start to look at what's coming up for me instead of shutting down or trying to change the subject. So if somebody asks you, how'd your last relationship end and what did it teach you about yourself? If you're so terrified of even thinking about that moment, then you're going to do everything there that you can to dodge it. Versus, my last relationship may not have been the healthiest, but my part in it was this, and here was where I was at. This is what I learned, and here's how I process the situation. That way you can clearly communicate with people that you're dating so that you can start to open up and allow people into your life and vice versa, and not be so scared of the pain and the fears and all of those things, because those are inevitable. We can't avoid getting hurt in life and dating, but we can certainly give you the tools so that you can get through it more effectively.